I welcome you all to have this chat with me today. My name is Dr. Sonia Malik and I am the Director and Head of the Department of Southend Fertility and IVF at Vasant Vihar, New Delhi. Today actually I want to talk to you on a very positive subject. We have been hearing about various things about infertility, fertility, the various issues that have always been bothering you and pestering. And most of all, something that is larger than life is this unfortunate coronavirus and COVID that has actually been causing so much of a problem, both physically, mentally, and psychologically to all of us. And all of you, all these days, who are having gynecological problems or you are having infertility problems, fertility issues, you're all bothered about what is going to happen to you once this coronavirus finishes, but it never doesn't seem to be going away. And so we are all concerned as to what we are going to do and how we are going to live with it. Is it actually going to impact us in some way or the other, or is it basically just going to live with us and we have to deal with it with whatever way we have? So all of you must be very, very aware by now of what it is and how it is causing a problem to all of us. It has been difficult for those of us who are in Delhi and around Delhi. It has been actually bothering all of us a lot because of the lockdown, which of course has also been very, very harsh in some parts of the country other than Delhi as well. And all of you who have joined us from Mumbai might still be facing a lot of problem because I suppose it is the highest over there. But then coming back to what has been happening to us. As you all know, that because of this disease, because of the pandemic that took place, that has actually happened in our country, we were all supposed to or asked to stop all elective procedures. That means we were not doing anything beyond emergencies and we were all locked up inside our houses. But now the lockdown has been slightly eased. In some places it is not there anymore, and like I said, in Delhi and around it is not there anymore and it is partially been eased. But still, there are certain precautions that we need to take because it is not gone as yet. It is still there, and every day you hear these reports of this thing rising. But having said that, how do we look at fertility in this changing scenario? What are the precautions that we need to take if we are planning a pregnancy? Or do we need to take any precautions or not? That is our biggest concern, and that is what we are bothered and worried about. So let me ask you or tell you how we should be approaching this. You must have heard now that the IVF units or the fertility units, or for that matter hospitals, are now opening up and probably accepting patients for elective procedures. That means procedures or even for consultations that are non-emergency, elective consultations. So then what is the preparedness of the health industry towards this? How are we going to deal with this whole problem or this whole issue and still offer the same kind of quality and service to our patients? That is your prime concern and my concern as well. And you all would appreciate and understand when I tell you that Corona or COVID is not only your concern, it is the concern of every individual who is living on this earth, every human being. If I am worried that I will get it, you are also worried that you are going to get it. So we both have to get together and protect ourselves so that we don't get it. It's as simple as that. So therefore, we have to take precautions so that you and I, all of us have to work together towards it to make this as safe as possible for ourselves. Therefore, it is important for us to continue to take those precautions that have been told to us all these days by the health authorities. That means we have to do this social distancing, we have to be away from each other, and we have to also maintain cleanliness of the highest order, which means you have to wash your hands all the time, you have to wash everything that comes into your house, whether it is vegetables or fruit or anything, even your toothpaste, even your brush, anything which is basically disposable or indisposable, everything is to be kept clean and kept at a distance so that you don't catch the infection. Now coming to how we are going to address this problem as far as fertility is concerned. As you all know, that you have probably been considering going through some kind of a treatment. I would say that there are three kinds of individuals we are looking at. Some people who are not at all bothered about getting pregnant or not at all thinking about this because they had been so busy with their own lives, बहुत से काम कर रहे थे, बहुत सी नौकरी में उलझने थी, they had to move ahead in time, so they were not at all thinking of starting a family. वो लोग हैं जो लॉकडाउन हुए. Then there's another set of girls who were going through some kind of a treatment, but that had to stop because of the COVID. So वो भी हैं अब. And then the third kind are those patients who had actually, who were going through some active treatment like IVF, or had been suggested an IVF, or had been suggested an embryo transfer post an IVF, and therefore they are waiting to get that started. All these girls or patients are actually individually trying to start whatever they have decided to. Now, coming to the first one, probably those patients have already decided that they now want to step in and have a family or start a family and would like to know what they should do. So they shouldn't worry at all, because again, for them it's just a consult. And these days we are doing lots of teleconsultations. We are available on the phone. If you want to ask me questions, for instance, now I can answer some of them for you. And if you want to choose to talk to me later on, we can do that for you. So teleconsult is all that you need. You need to discuss your problem with us. You need to share whatever treatment, if at all you've had any, then you need to just share that with us, and then we'll tell you what is the right way for you. You may just conceive on your own. You may not need any treatment from us. Now, the second patient who actually needs to come and see us because she was going through some kind of a treatment, or she is planning to start some kind of a treatment, even in that kind of a patient, you need to actually get in touch with us. So do consult us, make a teleconsult, anything on the phone, so that we are at least aware of what kind of a treatment is actually good for you and what we can plan for you. Again, everything can be planned on the phone. You don't have to come to the hospital or clinic for that. The third type of a patient who had been waiting and is wanting to start an IVF cycle and or an IUI cycle, or for that matter wants some kind of an investigation done. For instance, she needs a laparoscopy, or she's been told that she needs a hysteroscopy, or that she needs ultrasounds. So any kind of patient who is having a problem having a child, was going through some kind of a treatment and that had been stopped midway, can resume their treatment again, because we've all opened up. My clinic is functioning. We are all opening up, and we are trying to take the precautions. Now, what is it that you have to be careful? We are going to actually, every clinic is going to send you a form over the phone asking you whether you have had any kind of an exposure to the disease. If you or any family member or any contact has in the last 1 or 2 months had any kind of exposure, you have had an exposure, you have to answer that in the question. You have to fill up that questionnaire. This is to safeguard your pregnancy if it happens and when it happens, because we do not know what is the effect of this virus long term on any kind of a situation. You might interrupt me saying that natural pregnancies also are happening during this time, and why are you telling me this? I will come to that little later, but for the time being, what I would want to tell you is that we are actually calling you and asking you, making you fill up this declaration form so that we know that you are safe and you have not had any such problem in the past. And then in some states, for instance in Delhi, they are not very strict about it, and especially if you have some kind of a symptom like a flu, it may not be COVID, it may be something else. But if you have something, then we would definitely want you to go through the testing before I go ahead. I think I forgot to thank my dear friends Gitanjali and Purnima, so that for this, giving me this opportunity to be able to talk to all of you here today at Fertility Dost. Well, coming back to what we were talking about and discussing how we should be getting back into our treatments, especially the fertility treatment. So I was telling you that we have started to open up. Most of the units are now opening up, and we are actually trying to see whether the patient is having a problem or not. If you are COVID positive or not COVID positive, that is something that we are all wanting to assess before we take you on for any kind of a treatment. That is going to be the concern of any of the fertility units that you are going to visit. Some of so therefore there is going to be something called as a triage. That means we are going to split you into different types of patients. So suppose on examination, when you come to the hospital or when you come to the clinic, the hospital discovers or the clinic discovers that you are running temperature, although you're not aware of it, or you may be having some symptoms like a flu-like symptom or a bad tummy or something like that, anything which might create a suspicion of you having a problem, then you are going to be kept in a different kind of a category and you're not going to start your treatment until the testing is done. But if you are absolutely fit and fine and there is no exposure to the disease, you can be taken up for your treatment immediately. Coming now into the clinic. So this is all done before you come to the clinic, and now that an appointment for you has been set, you will find that my clinic, for instance, we are giving appointments far apart. Say one patient is entering at a time, and at that time no other patient is there with the consultant or at the front desk. Or at the most, in many of the clinics, you will find that there may be 2 patients at the most, or not more than 3, and at a distance. That distance has to be maintained, because you all know that it is basically the aerosol production or the whatever is produced from the breathing or speaking by the patient who has it is going to cause it. So therefore, when you are coming to the hospital, we are asking you to come in your own vehicle so that there is no chance of actual contamination from another person. And then if you don't have your own transport, then you should take a safe transport like an Uber or something where there are no more passengers. And then once you reach you also must always be wearing a mask. It may not be an N95 mask, because that is not required. It can be a normal mask also, or it can also be a cloth mask, a double layered cloth mask, so that you don't spread it to another person and don't catch it yourself. And once you come to the clinic, you have to enter the clinic wearing a mask. You will be given a sanitizer at the entrance of the clinic, because everybody wants your hands and everything to be sanitized, because you're coming and you're checking into the clinic, and you will probably be touching the surfaces. So even before you open the door to the clinic or the hospital, you will be using a hand sanitizer to sanitize your hands and then enter. And once you're inside, the doctor will, the front office who has set up your appointment is going to take you to the doctor, and the doctor will examine you, talking to you. Again, the doctor is going to be donning all the equipment or all the required mask and shield and everything before she talks to you or he talks to you. And once that is over, once the consultation is over, suppose you have to get some investigations done, they will be done at the same sitting. In the same manner, the person who is going to take your blood, whether it is a nurse or a lab technician, will also observe the same precautions that have been done by the doctor. So what I am trying to tell you by getting into the details of every step is to let you know that we are just as careful as you, because we do not want the clinic to get infected in any way, and we don't want you to catch the infection from another patient or from somebody who's inside the clinic. Most of the screening for the attendants or for everybody who's working in the hospital or clinic is also done in a similar manner as we do for the patients, so that there is no risk of the infection being carried from one person to another. And once we are sure that everything is fine, then we can start your treatment. And for that, we will schedule as minimal appointments as possible, because we also know and we are also concerned that every time you come out, you are exposing yourself to this infection. So remember, even though it is not in that, even though you are not in lockdown, when you are starting an IVF cycle, you should try to maintain social distancing and not meet your friends and other relatives. Try to remain restricted to just being husband and wife and no one else coming close to you, so that the chances of contact become minimum and you can go through your procedure very safely. So that is what I had to say about preparation for anything, IVF and or IUI, or even for frozen embryo transfers. You may have read in the newspapers or in the journals, or you may have attended chats like this one, where people would have told you that the frozen embryo transfers were never stopped, number one. And number two, for certain categories of patients, for instance, there is a patient who wants to preserve her eggs because she's going through some kind of a cancer therapy. That is urgency, so that is never stopped. So such things were never stopped. and they were going on. Therefore, they are very safe. About the security and safety of the embryos that are formed, the eggs that we are taking out of your body, they are all very safe, and luckily for us, they have not detected the virus in any of these. However, there are certain conflicting reports from China saying that it may be transmitted in the sperm in about some 16-18% of men. That is one of the first reports that has come out from China, and it is a very small study. Therefore, we will be waiting for more data to come in. But having said that, we are still treating the patients as infected. So all semen samples will be treated the same way as we would do when you were treating a patient of HIV, of AIDS. So the same kind of the same kind of precautions will be taken when you are basically looking at HIV patient or a hepatitis B patient. Anything which is infected is also is treated the same way, as you know, and the same way these patients are suspected patients. None of them are patients because we do not know their status, and as far as you are concerned, you are also asymptomatic. So therefore, every patient is suspect, and we are treating them as such and taking them forward. So that is what it is today for preparation for COVID. Now that we are opening up again, and now that we are going to resume our cycles again. More than that, what I think is also bothering many of my patients is whether this is going to have any effect on the fetus or on the baby if she gets pregnant. That is another major concern of many of you. And for that also, I would say that, interestingly, the reports that have come in from China on the pregnancy and on the delivered babies are saying that it is relatively safe. The number of miscarriages is nearly the same as it was in the normal population, and also that the preterm births are a little higher, and the stillbirth rate is also a little higher, but that is, remember, only in the COVID positive patients. It does not affect patients in general, and it does not affect the pregnancies of people who are not COVID positive. So that way, yes, it has no extra risk. We have to be very, very careful of not getting the infection during the course of pregnancy. However, when we are creating a pregnancy, when we are creating a fetus or a baby or an embryo, then we have to be extra careful. We as healthcare professionals need to be extra careful that we are not transmitting anything onto you. That is where our role comes in. And that is why IVF services were stopped in between, because we were not sure what kind of a virus we are dealing with. But however, this basically is the reason why we keep on, we were holding on to see what the information is telling us, what the preliminary reports are telling us, in order to be sure that when we start opening up, when we are treating all of you, at least we are not going to cause more harm to you than making, giving you more happiness that you have been waiting for. That is why it has taken us some time to start with the cycles before, we could open up. So Anita Kumar says, is it safe to have to be planning a pregnancy during this time? Well, yes, it is safe, and that is what I am saying. Nobody is saying anything against having a pregnancy. It is definitely allowed, and there is no risk to a person if she is maintaining the precautions that were required. And then we have okay, we have somebody who is saying that she had come to start her cycle. She was abroad and she had come for her cycle in March, and unfortunately at that time there was a lockdown and she could not go through her cycle. So is it now possible for her to get it done? However, now she is in Delhi, but my husband will come from Dubai once the flights are resumed. So what will be the procedure for him? Sure. So basically, again, unfortunately, he will have to go through a period of quarantine. That is what is recommended to all people who are coming from abroad. So he will have to undergo 14 days of quarantine, and then only we would once he is tested negative after those 14 days of quarantine, which will be after he comes in, flies in from there. Then after that we will be taking you both for your cycle. You can definitely resume your cycle once he comes back, and we will be very happy to help you, because you have been waiting here to get your cycle done for such a long time. Definitely it can be done. There is nothing against it. So then we have somebody is asking a very pertinent question about donor embryos. Are you going to be taking COVID-19 tested donors? Yes, of course, 100%. But the only problem with the donor cycles, we are yet not resuming those donor cycles, because we are not sure of the contact history of these donors, number one, because sometimes what happens is that we are not sure whether they are telling the truth or not, number one. And the second thing is that many times, while she is going through this cycle of 14 days, although we tell her to do social distancing, she may not actually be doing it, and suppose she contacts the disease during the cycle, we might have to cancel your cycle. So that is why we are not yet starting with donor cycles. But definitely, if we are able to, if suppose you have a donor whom you are sure that she cannot have COVID positive, then we will be very happy to do it. The other thing is, like I have in my own center, I have spare eggs from which we have always there, which we have from our donors. We have an egg bank. I mean to say that many of these centers, including mine, we have egg banking. So we can definitely take out some eggs from that egg pool of our previous donors before the COVID began. They are safe and they are not having the disease. Those eggs have been tested, though they have been tested for all the other diseases, as you know. And if you have an egg bank, then definitely you can make use of those eggs which were pre-COVID era, and then go ahead with your IVF cycle. But presently, if you have to take a fresh donor, I think we'll have to wait for some more time before some more clarity comes into this. So then again, I am overweight and have PCO. Is it possible for me to conceive naturally? So this is somebody who is asking this question. We all know that obesity is a part of PCO, but again, there are so many PCO women who are obese but they do conceive. It all depends. I'll give you an example. You may be a PCO and obese, but your mother also may be a PCO and she has conceived you. So basically it is PCO, remember, is very different. One PCO from another PCO is different. They are different individuals. But by and large, if you are grossly obese and you have a history of not making eggs in the past, you are not ovulating, you don't have periods, then yes, you cannot conceive naturally. But if you are a PCO who is only a PCO because she has hair growth and her periods are regular, ultrasound is showing normal ovaries but slightly PCO, you are a person who can conceive. So therefore it depends on what kind of a PCO you are. If you are a PCO who is not having an irregular period or a problem with her periods, there is okay. Then we have somebody saying, I am 39 years old and 4 IVF failures. Well, I know this is something which is even whenever there is a failure, even I feel sad. Whenever we are working together, it's always like a family or a team. Whenever the team works, you are a member of the team. You are going through the pain, and so are we. And consider it from our point of view. Every month, if we have about 20 patients going on with us, out of those 20, we know that not more than 10 or 11 are going to conceive. The rest of them are not going to conceive because the success rate at any given time in IVF is not more than 50 to 60%. So there is going to be a failure. So therefore, it is equally painful or more painful for us to see our patients who are failing again and again. And believe you me, for us also, to make you go through another cycle, we rack our brains, we try our best to make out the best plan for you so that you don't fail again. Let us have a look at your papers. If you want to talk to me separately, you please do so. If you want me to go through your papers and your record and try and see if I can help you some way, I'll be very happy to help you. please do that. I have heard your department is shifted to your own center from CK Birla, and I have been consulting your team. And what's the next procedure? Do you have your facility? Well, yes. Thank you very much for raising this very personal question and knowing us. Thank you very much. I may say that to you. And basically, let me assure you that we have the same facility at our own center. Only thing is that because of the lockdown, we have not been able to put the center together as yet. But we are definitely consulting. We are presently consulting. Dr. Meenakshi is teleconsulting over the phone. Plus, she is attached to clinics where she can take the patients and consult. However, if it is possible for you to come to Delhi, we are at 2 Palamarg in Delhi, and you know the center in Delhi. You are very, very welcome to come here and consult with us while we are making our center. But definitely the center will have all the facilities that we have always been offering all of you. So please don't be doubtful about that. We have everything, and very soon, maybe within a couple of days, you'll hear that we are fully functional. But you'll have to give us a little bit of time, and all this is because of the lockdown. Okay, then we have I have been told about that my AMH is low and I can only conceive through IVF, and does the egg quality matter for conceiving in IVF? You haven't told me your age. You have just talked about your AMH. Actually, AMH is important to tell us the number. It doesn't talk about the quality. We cannot know the quality of your eggs based on your AMH, but of course it will tell us that we should expect not the normal but a little lesser number of eggs from you because your AMH is low. However, having said that, it is not essential that each cycle the AMH is going to remain like this. It keeps on varying a little bit, but the reports are saying, all the reports, and my own personal data also tells me that no patient should be refused only on the basis of AMH. You have to be you should be positive that you may be able to conceive even with a low AMH, because if you are young, the quality of your eggs is going to be good, and even that one egg might give us a pregnancy. So don't be discouraged by a low AMH. Another patient says that my husband is 1 minute, let me have a look at this. Okay. Isha, yes. She says that I was supposed to get my FET, but then the lockdown happened. Is it safe to start the procedure again in this current situation that clinics are now open, or should I wait for a few more days? I think you can start immediately. Like I said, I have explained the whole process to you in great detail, and I can assure you that you don't stand any risk of catching any infection, and neither does your embryo have the risk of catching infection. So wherever you are, whichever clinic you are attending, you should go ahead and get your FET done. There is no risk in it. What is the status of surrogacy cycles? Again, I would like to tell you that third party reproduction, whether it is donor eggs, whether it is donor sperm, or whether it is surrogacy, is actually not possible at this time the way it was earlier, because basically we are not sure of the status of these women. We cannot promise you that they are not COVID free, and like you were talking about safety all the time to start with your cycles, we cannot guarantee you safety in this kind of a situation. Therefore, presently most of the IVF clinics are not doing donor cycles and surrogate cycles. However, having said that, the egg banks or the people who are supplying us with donors, or the people who are supplying us with surrogates, would definitely see to it that they can guarantee a safe environment for the donors and surrogates, and then probably we will be able to start with these cycles again. But till then, your self cycles can always be started, and not only can be started, they have been started. We presently are going through the IVF cycles with many of our patients. We have already completed a couple of cycles of frozen embryo transfers, and we have been able to conduct IUIs as well. So that is, having said that, that is why I am saying we took some time to restart. We did not restart immediately because we were waiting for our reports to come in and say that, tell us that whatever available data is there, it tells us that it is safe for reproduction and that we can go ahead without causing any harm to our patients. We have 3 locations. The one which is fully functional is Vasant Vihar, 2 Palam Marg. The second location is Gurgaon, which is yet partly functional because Dr. Meenakshi Dua, who is also present here today with me, is basically looking after our Gurgaon facility, and she is consulting over there. We can share her number with you and you can always get in touch with her and she will tell you where to come and what time to come. Make an appointment with us.